tell you about Bert Roper. He was my dad.
Well, I've known him my entire life.
Bert Roper was one of the heroes of this community.
Well, he's a hard guy to define.
Oh, he was a fun guy.
Was a great man, great inspiration in learning a lot of different things and figuring out how to do things in different ways.
It was an interesting combination of dad and daughter that we had.
He was a very benevolent man. He gave to a lot of organizations, but first and foremost, he was an orange grower, a citrus man, and an inventor.
He did so many things and did them well. A phenomenal man who impacted not just a community, but a couple of industries, including the citrus industry and agriculture in general.
He was born and raised in Winter Garden. The family had come here many years ago, and when I came as a visitor, I felt very welcome. Ellen Roper, Bert's mother, was a delightful lady, and she welcomed me with open arms, which I thought was wonderful. And Frank, Bert's father, was always fun to be around. And both of the parents of Bert, were very generous and very nice to me.
Winter Garden was one of the leaders in the state in citrus production. In fact, Winter Garden was considered the largest shipping point for citrus for a number of years in the early part of the 20th century. We had 2 rail lines that came through the center of town, and both of those rail lines had depots in downtown Winter Garden, and both of those depots were busy shipping citrus to the northern markets from this area. That shifted, that emphasis shifted after World War II. Fresh fruit was not shipped as much as orange juice was, and orange juice concentrate was the industry to be in after the war.
Early on in Dad's career, when he came back after the war here in Central Florida, he had the idea of taking the newfangled product, which was concentrated orange juice, because they had to figure out a better way to ship orange juice to the military overseas. So they came up with a way of concentrating the juice, or taking most of the water out of it and making a juice that was easier to ship. Very expensive to ship water. Well, that was the end of the war, and it was a huge market. We had a lot of men coming back from service, and they wanted this product that they had while they were overseas. So Dad had the idea of taking the Winter Garden processing facility that we had here and putting a concentrate plant in.
Well, Mr. Keene, R.D. Keene, I told him I needed $500,000 to put in a concentrate plant.
He said, you wanted to use $500,000 of our money to build this concentrate plant.
R.D. Keene said to him, young man,
Son, you don't have any idea what $500,000 is.
You don't know what $500,000 looks like.
First, you don't want to spend that kind of money. You don't have any idea what $500,000
you have no idea what $500,000 looks like.
Dad said, yeah, and I told you in 90 days, we'll all know what it looks like.
No, I don't, Mr. Keene. I don't have any idea what it is, but I'll tell you in 90 days what it'll do.
You're right, I don't. But if you'll give me the money in 90 days, I can show you what it'll look like.
But in 90 days, I'll show you what I can do with it.
And that's what happened. They built the concentrate plant, brought in the taste evaporator, and 90 days later they had an operating concentrate plant.
And in 90 days, he built an orange juice concentrate plant.
And in 90 days, we had built a plant and opened up running in March of 1950.
And that carried the industry here in the Winter Garden area for the next 30 or 40 years.
Well, I always think of my dad as an inventor and a scientist in a farmer's world. In the 50s, he worked on concentrate plant. In the 70s, he worked on Tree C, which was a different way to spray and to chemically treat the earth. The 80s, things were changing because of the freezes. And in the 90s, we went to organics, and then, you know, he was always coming up with something interesting and something different.
When the YMCA came looking to create the Winter Garden YMCA, Bert was very comfortable gifting the money. He was probably a little less comfortable putting his name on the building.
The YMCA was not something that we expected. That was a sort of a private gift, and they said, no, we're going to rename the Y. And that was not something that my father expected in the process of doing that gift, but it was something in the way that they wanted to do it, in honoring of leading the neighborhood and leading the community and trying to do something that's good for the community.
He asked a few people and they told him that it was appropriate, not only appropriate, but necessary.
If you mention Bert Roper's name, the first thing that comes to mind is a bow tie and citrus.
Yes, the bow ties. Dad always wore a bow tie.
And then you just tuck it in and tie it. There you go. So if anyone asks you how to do a bow tie, that's how you tie a bow tie.
He did not like neckties. And so when he had to get dressed up for some reason, the bow tie was what he wore.
I've been blessed to travel most of the world, and there's not too many places any better to be.
He's just an incredibly generous man in many, many ways, and he is terribly missed in this community.
I just want to reaffirm that he was a fantastic man. I loved him dearly. We had a wonderful life together. I miss him, but I am eternally grateful for the memories that I have and the children that are with me both here in Winter Garden and also in Idaho and California. It's a great life, a great life.